and welcome to Sam's on Wrestling. And this is our bracket series, one of my most famous. It is famous now. Famous for us. We're the ones who properly do it every time.
On this channel.
One of our favourite series where we take a certain wrestling category, put them into a random draw, into a bracket, and find out what is the greatest or the worst. Sam, why do we do a random draw?
Because if you see the draw, you've already decided.
I hate when people do that. They do, we've got the top 32, we've got number 1 versus number 32, so one's going to win then.
Yeah.
What's the point then? You've already said which one's the best.
And it creates a bit of chaos and different debates. So you could be like in a quarter-final and you're debating two pretty average ones, and this one's got to the semis, and then you've got like your two blockbusters that could be the final.
Yeah.
So it makes it more interesting.
It's incredible. And do you know what makes me feel gutted? Is we're a tag team. We're not a group, we're not a stable. We need a third man.
You don't not count Annie Mae there?
No. She doesn't know enough. She's a manager.
She's also not Sam.
We are looking today at what is the best ever stable of all time. A stable is a group consisting of 3 people, and they have to be wrestlers. I'm not including tag team and the manager. Does not count.
Yeah.
They all have to be able to wrestle. Now, when we do this, because there are 2 of us, how do you decide the winner? One of us is the judge. They have final say. However, the other one will have the power of 5 vetoes, meaning that they completely disagree. They can just veto, and whatever they've decided to go through will go through automatically. They can do it 5 times. The only times they can't do it is the semi-final and the final, as well as doing it multiple times with the same one. You can do it twice at most.
Yeah.
Because these are going to be a lot of old stables in here, I think I'm the judge.
Yeah, you're the older man.
I am the older man. You can have your.
I think you were part of the 4 Horsemen.
I was part of the 4 Horsemen. Yeah, everyone has had a crack at it at some point. But we're going to look at it, and usually we've got an idea who might win this, whatever. I haven't got a clue.
Yeah, it's quite open. I think the debate will help us discover it. I think it's one of those. I think there's multiple that can win. It just depends on their route to the final.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I think some are going to have a bogey team,
and we also might throw in a critique and go, "Yeah, that makes a massive difference."
Yeah,
it really does. Because sometimes you go, people just name the big names and went, "But was it actually good?"
Because I don't think anyone has a definitive this is the best stable. Everyone's going to have their opinion.
I think every group in history, the famous one, have had down periods.
Yes,
and I think that's going to be the key. But before we get into our brackets, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And let's find out what's the greatest stable of all time. We always start with the left-hand side to get to the final before we go to the right. So we're going to start off with D-Generation X, DX versus the Elite.
Oh, 2 similar groups.
Very renegades.
Yes.
Screw the Elite. Screw the Elite.
Agreed. I'm having DX here.
Can we just, I do have to, the Elite, there's the Bucks,
you know what?
There's
they're
Jack
immensely
Perry,
popular. And they're immensely popular, and they got a lot of fans, and they've also, used social media. No, agreed. Yeah. Agreed. That's it. I've tried. Yeah,
they've been the Elite. They were elite and they were good, and there was a TV show that was good. They're a good team and stuff like that, and they're all kind of an offshoot of almost like Bullet Club almost.
Yeah.
And they were good on AEW. They've been a decent group. You could argue probably they've been the best faction on AEW. But I think that DX having 2 incarnations, and then the 3rd incarnation, and then the 4th incarnation, I do think they've got more memorable moments.
Easily.
And I do think they win over this one. So I'm picking DX over the Elite because I don't think in my heart of hearts I can actually praise the Young Bucks. I can't do it.
No.
Couldn't be more further away from each other here. We've got the Dangerous Alliance versus the Nexus. The Dangerous Alliance is Paul Heyman's WCW group. So you got people like your Robert Roods and stuff like that. Great group. And loads of really interesting stories. And then the Nexus, great start.
White hot.
Died a death really quickly.
Agreed. How long did the Dangerous Alliance last?
Probably about 18 months to 2 years.
Right.
And then Paul Heyman got fired and left for ECW.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I'm still back in the Nexus here. Again, I don't know much about the Dangerous Alliance, so maybe I'm
weird. There are some incredible feuds that have ended up in War Games in particular. The feuds that Paul Heyman with Robert Roode as well in particular, which led to the downfall of the group, is really, really, really good. The Nexus were good and were immediately squashed. And then they were awful. So as much as they were the most popular thing, they were popular for about 3 weeks, and then it all fell off the cliff.
3 weeks is being harsh. Genuinely, it was right until SummerSlam. They were really.
And when did they turn up?
They turned up probably about 3 months earlier. Genuinely, Sam. Then
July. We talked about it. It's June.
No, they didn't.
It's June to August. Okay, it's 7 weeks then.
Right, okay.
It's June to August, that's it.
Right, 2 months.
It's mid-June.
But they did fail 4-way, and they were really big in that as well, because they interfered and stuff as well. They were big for a while.
I'm going to pick the Nexus here, but quite frankly, they're rubbish.
Only because they were booked rubbish.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
I know,
we're not going, oh, wow, they should have been amazing at Sam. They lost their first match.
I know.
And then never won a match.
No, well, Wade Barrett beat John Cena once.
No, not really.
And they won tag titles.
And then that ended up ruining it even more because Cena was meant to be fired. He came back the next night anyway.
No, I know. But
also, can you also include a thing where John Cena's been a member?
Yes.
I'm going to put Nexus through for that opening 7 weeks because of it's really famous, and the Dangerous Alliance was kind of a steady Eddie group for a long time. But I don't like it. I don't think the Nexus deserve it.
I think they do.
Oh, they did very well on our debut episode because that's all they had.
Yes.
Team Extreme versus the Bullet Club. Team Extreme, the one that's just snuck in due to the fact that Lita has wrestled and is wrestled and gets involved.
Oh, so you're going right, Hardy Boys.
Yeah, it's Hardy Boys and Lita because she can get involved. She does wrestle. She's not a manager. She's not a valet.
I'd call it a faction.
It's they are technically a faction.
No, I know
Team Extreme.
Technically is.
But you got to remember, a manager is different if they can get.
No, I know what you're saying.
And then you got Bullet Club. Now, Bullet Club. This is one of the few times, really, in reality, that we've got something that's really out of our domain.
Yes.
Because this is New Japan, really. But the reason it's allowed in here is because it has made its way over into the Americas. We've seen it on Ring of Honor, and technically they've done an offshoot with the club. In AJ and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I personally think you can't not pick a Bullet Club for how much they did. And as we said, the Team Extreme thing is very loosey-goosey with a thing.
They launched the stardom of, Kenny Omega, AJ Styles. I know he's already started with Finn Balor. They did a lot, and there's a reason why.
They took them to global stardom.
There's a reason why you've got the Elite in the club in WWE, and so many
Carl
copies.
Anderson and
there's been so many copies of it. That shows you how influential it was.
And offshoots as well, because you've had Bullet Club Gold, which we've seen, and they've had one of the best entrances in wrestling. It's so cool. It copies Sheamus and Cesaro's White Light, but goes round and they're doing all the things with the bangs, and it's really cool. I'm going to go Bullet Club because I think they're Team Extreme more of a tag team, an amazing tag team, but you couldn't take it further with this stuff. Yeah. Though, fair play to everything that Lita went through. Lita did so much that, as much as I actually think she's a very mediocre wrestler, her willingness to do so much really did so much that made them stars. I think Lita actually put them to another level.
Yeah,
I really do. But I think Bullet Club here, yeah. It's the New Day! Yes, it is! And the Undisputed Era.
Ooh.
A thing that never made the main roster. NXT, and then technically went over to AEW.
I think that's one of those things that you always think it would be great on the main roster, but how much would it have worked? Because Vince would never give it the booking. However, I don't see how you can look past the New Day.
New Day, I think people forget that New Day are a faction. Yes. I think they say tag team because they Freebirded it. But you're like, no, they are a faction. They've done faction work. And they literally had the rockiest opening, 2 months?
Oh.
And then everything they did after that was brilliant. And they just subsided a little bit. And then a heel turn, which just really gave it new life.
Can we call that... Oh, do you mean the first heel turn, or do you mean the
the heel turn, because it was the ending of the group.
Right, okay,
the ending of the group.
You can't really...
Because Big E was floating still, and he was still associated with stuff like that, and that's the end of it for me. So I'm not up to there. But yeah, for me, I have to pick New Day. You know me, I'm not a massive fan of Adam Cole, and I'm not a fan of the other couple either. I think they've massively improved, Roderick Strong in particular. But I thought they did a really good NXT. It was really fun. I remember the turn of Adam Cole joining them was really good. But for me, New Day. It's going to be tough for them to be beaten. I think
because they've got so Strong who joined them.
Yeah.
But it's New Day. New Day are one of the greatest.
New Day all day. We've got. Go on. We're not in Kansas anymore for one, and the other one is heavily in Kansas. We are very confused. Right. We've got the Heenan family.
Oh,
so that is a long list. That's a faction that went on and changed and manifest. So it's a weird one because it's not this faction. It changed. It kept evolving and changing, and Heenan kept bringing new people in. And the Main Event Mafia from TNA.
Ooh,
so, do you know the Main Event Mafia?
You've got Buddy Ray.
No.
I'm already wrong.
Kurt Angle.
Scott Steiner.
Sting. Scott Steiner. Booker T. And Kevin Nash went,
I love that.
I'm sorry, we need to be making more money. And, we need respect. And they kept saying, respect. Kevin Nash is literally cutting a promo. And he's there going, this business has been about 3 things. Women, money, and chicks.
That's good.
But literally, and he goes, and all I want is respect. And Booker T, who does not care at this point, is just going, respect! Behind. So every time he goes, and respect.
So is it more of like a comedy?
No! They're the world champion. Sting's the world champion. Meant to be heels, but Sting can't cope. Steve Borden can't cope. He
Right.
can't deal with being a heel and ruins it completely.
Really?
So they have to kind of do the switch of making Kurt Angle the leader, and he becomes world champion. It ruins it completely. Like, Sting, be a heel, you tool. But yeah, literally, there's an episode where they take over TNA.
Awesome.
And Scott Steiner does the ring announcing, and he's going, "It's so Joe Bolt. I don't know who it is. I've not slept with her yet." And you're just like, and then Booker T and Kevin Nash do commentary, and they're called Black Snow and like Jake Lemon or something. Yeah. And Booker T is taking the mick out of all them. And I think he said like the Dudley Boys, you know, they've won like 16 titles, but you know, 7 of them are in ECW. That's an indie fed, doesn't count. Yeah. And Booker T gets the ring, starts beating up the people, but he's still on commentary.
No, I've seen that.
And he goes, Booker T with a click of the blah, Black Snow with a click of the. It's so fun, but it doesn't work because they literally never make an opposition.
Right.
They don't make an opposition because the opposition are AJ and Samoa Joe, and Samoa Joe joins them. And so it does not work.
NWO, is it?
Yeah, so I think the Heenan family here will win. I think we'll talk about it a little bit more with Andre and stuff, but we'll go with the Heenan family.
Mania sounds fun, though.
It is. I would do it, but most of the good stuff happens on TV, and we will review pay-per-views. Yeah. So I would pick it to do, but most of the actual things that happen on the TV, it's not as entertaining. But maybe we'll look into it one day. I love random draws. We have the NWO versus the NWO Wolfpac.
Brilliant. I think we know who's winning. Well,
I tell you what, Sam.
They booked the feud.
I tell you what, Sam. The Wolf. Well, that's the thing, is it died a death because of like everything that happened at the time. They just had a massive shift at the time, and they kind of just let it go. I think people got injured and stuff, and they just kind of went, well, okay, we'll just kind of forget that that's happening because Sting disappears and all that jazz. Wolfpac, man, oh my god. Have you ever seen them cut a promo?
No.
The noise.
Really?
It's insane. They're babyface, right? They essentially split off from the NWO and went, I don't want to be it. So it's Kevin Nash, Sting, Lex Luger, and Conan. And we love Conan.
Of course. And
all they do is have their own catchphrase. And it's too sweet! And then literally the crowd go mad. And they don't say anything. They just come out and do those 4 lines of each other's catchphrase, and the crowd go.
So what is the point of the group?
They are the babyface version of the NWO.
What does that mean? They just resist.
We are not NWO. Yeah, effectively, they're against people like Scott Hall.
You're not NWO, but you kind of are.
Yeah, but now NWO, people go on the greatest faction of all time for about 3 months, and then they start adding a member, then another member, then another member, then they leave, and then they get kicked out, and then another member. And by the end, you've got 30 lads just walking in, and you've got look at these people. They're going, Stevie Ray's in the group. Oh, wow. Virgil's in there. Yeah. You know, Mungo, McMichael's in there. You know, the Disciple. It's Brutus Beefcake. What's he doing in there? And quite frankly, I think the NWO sucks. I'm throwing it out there, right? If it's just Hall, Nash, and Hogan, it's one of the greatest things ever. But they add Big Show and X-Pac.
X-Pac always has
very quickly. Well, why did they add X-Pac? Because those 3 lads can't sell and get beaten up.
No, exactly.
So we get X-Pac to get beaten up.
Yeah.
But because Big Show can't. Exactly. I genuinely, not going to lie, Sam, don't like the NWO. I think it was a moment in time that worked so well, and then they just kept going back to it. They could never move on, and they just couldn't. Ultimate Warrior beat up most of them on his own. Yeah. 1998's Ultimate Warrior.
Well, it did just literally, weirdly, take over WCW, and that was actually the aim of the faction. Yeah. So ironically, the faction kayfabe-wise got exactly.
They were meant to do 2. It was meant to split up into a brand. You have the NWO and WCW, and that didn't work. When they did the NWO sold out, it was one of the worst pay-per-views of all time. I also think
doing a brand split when you're in the Monday Night Wars is a bold move, isn't it?
As well as most of them being from NWO, so you're going to fight within yourself. It made no sense to me. Yeah. I'm going to say NWO beat the Wolfpac. For those, at least the Hogan and Hall and Nash stuff is so fantastic. Yeah. But quite frankly, Sam, I'm telling you now, I think it sucks. I think it became a T-shirt.
Oh, absolutely. But I think you've been slightly harsh. But
I think it's one of the reasons WCW died because they wouldn't let it go. Yeah. Think about the Finger Poke of Doom. That was all NWO rejoining.
Yeah, of course.
It died. NWO 2000, Bret Hart leading it, and he's like going, he wears pink.
Yeah.
And now he's got to wear that. And then Jeff Jarrett. Yeah, he's going to get you over in 2000.
They never, because too many people join, you've got no one for them to feud with.
One day, we should do a 2-minute challenge of naming NWO
you'll
participants.
Smash me. You'll absolutely smash me.
Go and research it then.
Well, that's not doing it now. It's supposed to be on my actual wrestling knowledge.
Go watch WCW then.
I have
NWO over the Wolfpac. Sweet. Freebirds. versus Right to Censor.
Oh wow! So two teams that could have very much feuded with each other.
Yes, these very much are the antithesis of each other.
Yes.
I love Right to Censor.
Oh, I love them.
I thought they were the perfect example of how to book something for a short amount of time.
Yeah.
It started at the right time, ended at the right
Great
time.
theme tune.
Great. I love the theme tune.
No, that's what I mean.
I love the
That's what I'm
theme
saying.
tune.
It was
Stephen
actually- it
Richards
worked
is a
perfectly.
great promo. Ivory is a perfect person. The idea of taking gimmicks that were like really bad or like, you know,
out
there and changing them. I love this. It's Freebirds though, isn't it?
I don't know enough about Freebirds.
They are if you have a trio and then they win the tag titles, it's called the Freebirds rule for a reason. They are the epitome of created entrance. Without them, I don't think we would have entrance music to this extent.
Really?
They are the reason that we've got entrance music. And
What did
in
wrestlers
ring,
used to do? Just walk out?
pretty much. Like these guys really, they may not have like started it, but these are the guys who revolutionized it to an extent. And I think that the fact they are so revolutionary and Right to Censor is so small, you have to go with the Freebirds here.
Sure.
So I've got Freebirds. Yeah, Freebirds. Yeah.
Sound like the Jeff Hardy.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of. Well, you got to remember, Michael Hayes was put with them.
Yeah, so.
This old man in velour.
Yeah.
Regular domination. I have sweets in the break. Do you want to do this next one?
You couldn't have possibly waited until you finished
No.
to start the next segment. Okay, well, the next fixture is the Nation of Domination versus the Wyatt Family. That your breath very much does now smell of sweets.
Yeah, it's really sour.
Yeah, no, it's
Rancher's Random.
It smells sour.
It's really lovely. Yeah.
Anyway, Nation of Domination versus the Wyatt Family. Sam, I know you're not a very big fan of the Wyatt Family.
Oh, no, I love the Wyatt Family.
But like maybe the way they were booked.
No. I hated when Bray Wyatt was on his own and just spouting off nonsensical dialogue for about 2 years and going, "You're not saying anything."
Yeah.
And people go, "Oh, what a great promo." I was like, no, he had 2 years where he wasn't saying anything. Wyatt, great.
Okay.
Love the Wyatts. They should have been booked stronger.
Yes.
I think the Wyatts are great. Nation of Domination, without them, we would not have a Rock.
It's true.
Without them, we wouldn't have a Rock. And you can just see, it's really weird. You've got Ron Simmons leading it because obviously he was the NWA World Champion, first ever black champion, which is fantastic. Brings over to this very, 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 very politically strong gimmick and brings in brilliant. You got Mark Henry, D'Lo Brown, it's a really good gimmick. But you can just see The Rock slowly growing and either going, this is meant to be putting Ron Simmons as a main eventer and he never got to be a main eventer in WWE. And you're like, well, here's Bradshaw. Go and be the Acolytes. This is really strange.
I enjoyed the Acolytes.
No, I enjoyed the APA.
Oh, sorry, I thought
the Acolytes were with the Undertaker.
No, I didn't.
And it's
that.
weird.
Yeah.
The Wyatt Family wins this for me, but the Nation they were in time during this gang warfare thing with like DOA and all these lot, and DX also. And it's like I didn't enjoy it. I actually found it a bit boring. I think it had a shelf life, and they didn't know when that shelf life was. And then you got like D'Lo Brown and Mark Henry kind of carry. You know when groups break up and then they just kind of like two people kind of carry on. I think the Wyatt Family are one of the greatest factions of all time. I thought they were brilliant, definitely. And I think they should have been booked slightly stronger. We move into the last 16 of the left-hand side. It's DX versus the Nexus.
Green versus yellow. I'm not going to veto.
Thank you.
You can put DX through, but hey, Nexus made it to the second round, and that's cool. So that's all I'm going to say.
Well done. You've been jobbed out again by Triple H.
Yeah.
Bullet Club versus the New Day. Wow.
I'm not going to lie to you, Sam. I mean, yeah, again, we've got to put the asterisks in that I am, and you are probably to a degree biased because we haven't seen much of the Bullet Club. However...
Yeah, we will openly admit we only watch like North American wrestling.
Yeah.
So anything that's from... I don't go and seek it. I enjoy it when it comes over and I get... It's like a special treat for me. Get to watch like Japanese wrestling because it's so fast and so different. But I don't want that to be my norm.
No.
Because I don't enjoy that and I think it would make me bored of that.
Yes.
So I like it as like a little special... Oh, I get to watch some kind of Japanese style wrestling. And I really enjoy it as like once a night or... once every couple of weeks or something.
I think we're both going the same way.
I think New Day because we're all character.
Also, not being funny, longevity.
Oh.
And that over. And also, two of them have been world champions. So this is a main event level faction at points.
Why? The reason I'm actually going to have those because I think if it was Bullet Club just as AJ Styles, I think that wins. I really do because I think it's a phenomenon. But it keeps... I think New Day haven't really had much of a trough bar the back end of this. Whereas these guys having to keep change and mix over. They have to bring in Finn Balor and he's the leader, and AJ Styles becomes the leader, and then this guy's going to lead, and this guy. And then you got people like, who's that guy? Oh, it's Dave. Dave's now the leader of the Bullet Club because all the big stars have buggered off to America again. So that, for me, it's the fact that the Bullet Club, if they've just ended it, they didn't. It's a moneymaker. Bullet Club, to me, is NWO. Same principle. Yeah. I just don't think they did it as bad. Yeah. So for me, I'm going to go with New Day because of that longevity and because they could change and they're funny and entertaining, and that's
always like the same three, which is very rare.
Very rare, and they were booked so strong, and that's the key. They were booked strong, and they were always booked strong until when Biggie and Kofi, could you go and win some WWE championships? They're like, sorry Xavier. The Heenan family versus the NWO. Oh, interesting. So Heenan family, you're looking at so many wrestlers have been associated with Heenan. And what made it interesting with Heenan is they weren't really a faction. Heenan was managing.
It's like an agent.
Yes. But they were the Heenan family, and every now and then they would come together and do a Survivor Series match, or we would do a promo with them. So your main people are people like your Andres and Meng. He started off with Lex Luger originally as well in '93. Perfect. Ric Flair. A lot of these people are there going, do they count or not? So I'm picking the NWO here in this case because I had the NWO as a solid faction, whereas the Heenan family, I felt that there was this constant give and take, and it was very hard. At the end of the day, there were people brought in to Hogan to squash.
That sounds brilliant.
And that's what it was. Yeah. But without Heenan, I don't think we get some of these megastars getting to a different level.
Yeah.
I don't think Ric Flair gets to level in WWF without Heenan putting him over as the greatest world champion. I don't think Perfect gets to the level he is without association with Flair and Heenan. And I really think this makes a massive difference. I think Heenan is one of the greatest reasons we've got it. But
one of the greatest talkers of all time, arguably.
As a faction stable, though, there's too many different names, too many different people, and I can't solidify this group. I couldn't go, who is your group?
It's NWO, Sam.
But at least you can go the main three. I don't even think you can say the main three.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's NWO. It's cool. It's one of the biggest, if not the biggest, name of a faction all time.
I'm not disagreeing with you, Sam.
No, I know. That's why I'm saying but
it's crap.
No, I know. Well,
quickly.
I've not seen enough of it.
Really quickly crap. It was so crap that even when they brought it into WWE, it ended in 4 months.
Well, yeah.
That's how crap it was.
Well, that's because 2 of them ended up leaving immediately. It was Kevin Nash was just there like, I'll take a quad then.
Well, Hulk didn't leave immediately.
Well, no, he turned face.
He turned face immediately.
I think left the faction.
Well, Scott Hall got fired.
Yeah, I know.
Just after Mania. So, I'm picking the NWO over the Heenan family because of the core concept, I think. Yeah. But I love watching Heenan.
Oh, that's
every time I turn on early 90s stuff, I just want to listen to Heenan.
I like watching, Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan did those old talk show stuff, or they'd go somewhere.
Did, yeah.
It was almost like old school Top Gear. They'd go somewhere and they'd just be dicking about.
Their chemistry was immaculate as well. The Freebirds versus the Wyatts. I'm going to pick the Wyatts here because this is where my knowledge level of Freebirds goes in, and this is the problem of my research level. I know how big they are, but the matches I've seen are very few and far between.
Yeah.
By the way, the matches are very good.
No.
But I think of Wyatt's matches and I go straight to the Shield, and that's anything better than anything the Freebirds did.
The atmosphere for those.
It was incredible. Yeah. The promos up to that point, the debut of Braun Strowman was immaculate.
That's incredible.
The elimination of Brock at the Royal Rumble was really good, put them over strong. 100%. Obviously, they got to have the thing with Cena, and that was the problem.
Yeah, but then they did have the thing with Orton, where you had the whole story of Orton's infiltrating, and that was really interesting.
Because they were a tag team, because at that point Eric Rowan had gone, and Braun Strowman had been moved over, but then that became a group again, and that was a really interesting dynamic back to the Wyatt family. You're absolutely right. For me, it's the Wyatt family all day long. Same. Freebirds, great. Honestly, you need to go watch some of their entrances, really. They're incredible. Absolutely incredible entrances. And it's nice to see Michael Pierce's not be the creepy weird.
Yeah.
Into the quarter-final. It's DX versus the New Day. Should we finally talk about DX?
Yeah, because this is how did you think?
Can you name me the original members of DX?
Doing Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Chyna, and Road Dogg wasn't there, was he? Oh, no. It was Sergeant Slaughter. Was he part of it?
He was the one they mocked every week.
Sorry. Who was their manager then? It was someone else. Was it
Rick Rude?
Yes,
famously though appeared on Raw and Nitro on the same night because he jumped ship. Nitro was live, Raw was taped, and he was with DX, and he's actually live on Nitro.
At the same time as well?
I don't think it's the same night. I don't know if it's the same time.
Okay.
I don't think it's the same time. And that everyone forget is like, yeah, Rick Rude, yeah, it's that guy, you know. So yeah, it's really short. Those three together is really short.
Really short.
Because Shawn goes at the middle of '98, well, WrestleMania '98, and these guys start like early '97, middle of '97. It's really, really early. It's not long at all. And then obviously, when I think of DX, I don't think Shawn Michaels. Right. I think of Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, and X-Pac, Triple H, and China. That's the group I actually think of. So even though that's not the original group, I think that took it to another level. Because by adding a tag team, a tertiary man, and your main eventer with China, that's a really faction. And Billy Gunn and Road Dogg, I don't think, as much as we've watched them in VKM, be awful in our TNA reviews. Go watch our TNA reviews to see our views on VKM. I don't think they get enough credit for how big they made Triple H. Yeah. Triple H abandoned them. The minute Triple H becomes a main eventer, by DX, don't need you anymore, main eventer. And I'm like, I don't think without Billy Gunn and Road Dogg being as hot as they were, and every time they turn up getting this massive response, and X-Pac was over as well, and obviously China with China, you know, I don't think they get enough response. I don't think they get enough respect.
No, I can...
And we can't talk about DX in 2006 because...
It wasn't a tag team.
Not a faction.
It wasn't a faction,
Not a faction. So we can only end at, essentially, let's say 98, because obviously 99, because then they break up, come back together, whatever. Where are you? New Day, DX.
Based on that.
DX famouser, I think. New Day, more solidified, longer. DX is from literally, we're talking, let's call it 97 just for ease, ends pretty much 2000.
Sam, what I'm going to be controversial here. I honestly think, based on what you said, because again, I was originally probably going to throw the Triple H and Shawn Michaels stuff in there.
But it doesn't count.
But it doesn't count. So
unless you
on
include
that basis, if you're saying DX is from what? Really about 97, and then it's to what?
2000, late 99.
About 3 years.
Yeah, if that.
New Day have been, what, they're about 10 years, realistically.
New Day got together 2014, and Big E left them, let's say, 2021.
Okay, so yeah, if you go with
it's 7 years. Well, that's when the end of the group end of the stage.
And I honestly think New Day have better in-ring work, incredibly entertaining as well. They've got the comedy, and they've also done serious storylines. So you can't say that they didn't do serious.
Well, the Hell in a Cell with the Usos, yeah.
But also the whole Kofi Mania stuff.
Yeah. At the end of the day, the New Day was so over, they were able to get one of their members to become world champion. So you can't say it's different to Triple H, because Triple H got the world championship. But they stayed as a team.
Yes.
Because of it. Yeah. And Big E was able.
They've had more stories, more feuds.
It's tough.
For me, honestly, my vote is New Day.
Because the New Day are almost like 3 equal partners. And the DX, it felt like a hierarchy system, but it was a really good hierarchy system because it got Triple H to the main event and stuff like that. But then you've got messy things like the DX Helmsley sort of thing, and they all became this one big group with Vince McMahon and stuff. I'm going to agree. I'm actually going to pick New Day.
I didn't think I'd say that before.
No, neither did I.
That's one of those things.
And that's the beauty of doing this, is you get to discuss, you go, actually, hang on, we remember the moments, we remember how we felt, and also, Attitude Era is all great and stuff like that. But you can't just go, it's the Attitude Era, I love it. It's not fair, because then everything loses. Yeah. You have to take it in context. And I think if New Day had been picked up and put in the Attitude Era, I think they would also have been just as over and just as big. And you know what? Probably would have won some WWE titles then as well, to be honest, provided they... I'm talking 2000, when Austin and Rock had just, doned down. Maybe, I don't know. Big E's a big man.
I had no money in the bank back then.
Oh, yeah, it's true. That is true. But Big E's a large man, and Vince likes a large man.
He does like a large man.
There's a reason he wanted to put him over and then take all of his character away. We're going to pick New Day.
Yeah.
There we go. I'm going for it. New Day. NWO versus the Wyatt family. Even I can't pick the Wyatts over the NWO. Yeah, I can't.
I'd actually quite be interested in this feud.
It's tough, because in the same argument we've just had with DX and New Day, this is almost the same principle. But it doesn't feel the same.
Yeah, I don't feel like putting the Wyatts above NWO.
No, I don't
think Wyatts are that bracket of a faction.
I think NWO have had a nice relative draw, actually, for not having that competition. For me, NWO have just got problems coming out of the wazoo, but so do the Wyatts, because after a while it's like, where do you take Eric?
They also don't win enough.
They should have won everything. They should have won every match. And the problem is they had the same issue that they did with the Wyatt Six. They were like, we can't push you really heavily, because then you have to lose, or you have to main event, and we don't know what to do with them. They should have just made Bray main event, or you make Bray a real attraction, and you make him an attraction thing, because I'm taking him to win many world titles. Yeah. And he could even say that I'm not here to win titles, I'm here to make change, and that's what you need to do. Bang, done. And they didn't do that. They didn't commit to it.
I'm picking NWO, and I'm fine with that. I love the Wyatt family to bits, but
NWO, go through. It's a semi-final. It's only my choice, so I'm going to let you talk about this then, because this one we've got the New Day versus the NWO. Who is going to the final of our stable?
Not something I expected to go up in the semi-final, but
what do you think? Help me.
I think I know where you already want to go.
Yeah.
You want to upset the
apple cart.
And you want to.
That apple cart is full of pancakes.
And I don't know where.
And cereal.
Bootios.
Bootios.
Hey,
they sold as much merch as NWO in the grand scheme of things, right? NWO, all their shirt, and that's it. But how much more merch did the New Day have sold? With kids, their women, and children, and unicorns, and cereal. They had food in shops.
Yeah.
Wow. You can't just go on merch, because even though NWO would have sold more shirts, absolutely, probably would have made more money. I think Austin's shirt did make more. I think Austin's shirt might, but I could be wrong. I think NWO might have won. It's close. But so you can't just go, the merch, because they've got the merch.
No, I'm with you.
And then you go with the stories, and you go, which story do you want to pick with the NWO? Because you have your three, and then it just falls off a cliff dramatically.
I think. Oh God, it's tough. My head and my heart are saying two things. I really don't know, Sam. NWO have the better body of work. New Day have the better body of work.
Absolutely,
yes, they do. NWO were bigger. There's just no
Hogan.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of the time, you got to remember, New Day were actually in the tag division.
But if you remember, I'm just going to throw this out there, right? I have watched a lot of WCW, and one of the reasons they died to death is because of NWO. And people who are big fans of NWO don't want to admit that, but they used to run in on almost every single match. No match ended clean, and you just hear every 5 minutes. Like, literally, you hear NWO over and over again. Hogan used to cut 2 promos a night, and it just got excessive. And for me, I've never felt the New Day were excessive.
So I've made my choice.
Well,
even though it's irrelevant. New Day.
It's a New Day. Yes, it is. I'm picking them.
The power of positivity.
I'm going with it. I think if the NWO had just been Hall, Hogan and Nash, and I'll throw Big Show in there as your heater, I think it would have been really special, but they literally watered it down. Genuinely, what people don't realise is it's almost instantaneous.
I think if that period had lasted like 6 to 8 months, we'd be having a different conversation.
It's mere weeks.
Yeah,
Big Show and Six and Ted DiBiase are almost included immediately, and then Ted DiBiase's thing dies because Eric Bischoff just goes, I'm actually the leader and I'm the guy running it. Yeah. And you're like, and it's just like, ugh. Yeah. And then they have to bring in people like the Ultimate Warrior, and the only person really who ever got anything, like Lex Luger and Goldberg and DDP, all won, but then it got taken back from them immediately. Yeah. And it was just constant, just like, can we not have something we like? Yeah. And you just felt that the minute they didn't know what to do with the NWO, they were literally had nothing. So, yeah, New Day. Absolute New Day going through to the final. We move to the other side of the leaderboard. In this case, we're starting with Corporate Ministry versus The Shield.
Should we just do the Shield thing now? Well, I was supposed to put our fists together. You'd make a terrible Shield man. I would hit you in the back with a chair immediately.
I'd be Kurt Angle.
Old man is just like, I'm here.
Corporate Ministry sucked.
The Shield, man.
It's like, you've got the corporation, which was Vince and his cronies, and then the Undertaker, and then they just watered down the Undertaker's gimmick because it was meant to be the heart of darkness, and it was meant to be evil and vicious, and hey, Vince.
Yeah, pretty much.
It doesn't work. No. I didn't enjoy it. I watched it back. I didn't enjoy Undertaker in this time anyway.
Yeah,
I don't enjoy it.
Well, he knows because he goes to the American Badass gimmick. He does change over, doesn't he? No, soon after this.
2 years.
Yeah, it takes a while.
2 years. He has to get injured first and then come back in 2000. That might be a year. It's the Shield. Sorry. What one of the best entrances in wrestling history, which is great because one of them cannot work. We've got the Brood versus our first and maybe even only all-female group in Damage Control. God.
Right, well, Brood win.
Can I just point out that the Riot Squad didn't quite make it?
I'm thinking of for some reason I've read Damage Control and my head went the Welcoming Committee.
Yes,
no, Damage Control. All right, Damage Control. This
is Io Sky, Bailey, Dakota Kai, and if you want to include Asuka and Kairi Sane as well. And for me, as much as the Brood has the best entrance, they join the Ministry really fast, and then Edge Christian break away. It lasts about 6 months, 7, 8 months. It's about a year at most, right? And Gangrel, the minute Edge and Christian leave, Gangrel's nothing. He's gone. He barely does anything. And Edge and Christian don't look like they suit the vampire thing.
No.
It doesn't. But oh my God, what an entrance. But Damage Control,
Better.
They were able to have a WrestleMania match based on their group.
Yeah.
And if you can have a world title match at a WrestleMania,
great
you've done a great job. And the debut, fantastic.
That was
they were
defining moment.
The defining moment because they're the we are now under Triple H now.
It was the first booking decision of Triple H,
and it was wonderful. Yeah, I'm damage control.
I'm with you.
Damage control.
Yeah, I saw damage control in my moment welcoming committee, and I saw Natalia.
Who? That was Natalia.
Was it Bella was in there? Was it?
Might have been Carmella.
Or no.
We've got the Judgment Day.
We'll never get rid of them.
And ECW's Dudleys. So this isn't the Dudley Boys. So this is there's Sign Guy Dudley, Big Dick Dudley. You've got the guy who does the announcements whose name's just gone to my head, who does amazing promos. Right. They're really rude and disgusting and completely sexist. But you know what? They're so well crafted that you go, that's disgusting. It's really entertaining.
That is disgusting.
That was really well done. Yeah. I've forgotten his name now. It's completely gone from my name. But yeah, oh my god, there's so many Dudleys. Initially, there was like Dances with Wolves Dudley. It was
what was this? Some huge faction.
So the Dudleys,
Bubba and Devon were the only ones who.
No. So the gimmick, right, was there was a Daddy Dudley, and he was like a traveling salesman, and he used to sleep around the country, and he gave birth to many, many Dudleys.
It's impressive.
And there were at least like 15 Dudleys.
Amazing.
And there were so many.
That's actually really cool.
So, for example, Bubba Ray Dudley was Burr Ray. He was the trailer one, and Devon was the only black one, for example, and things like that. And then he had like Big Dick, who was a huge one. Then Little Spike, the Runt, and they were all meant to have different looks and different ethnicities. That's Dance Wars was Indian heritage.
It makes sense when you're casting a load of random guys. Not meant to.
And they all put him in tie dye, and they all gave him the glasses. It was great. And then eventually, Devon convinces Bubba Ray, Big Dick, Sign Guy Dudley. So it's a guy who couldn't talk but has signs, and their manager. His name's gone from my head. To break away and become heel, and the rest just disappear for us. Apart from Spike. Spike is like the baby face of the group against them. And they used to incite riots. Bubba Ray would cut heel promos and incite riots at ECW. They would want to stab him and they would want to attack him. Like, honestly, Sam, one day me and you will go and do an ECW run.
Are they uploading that to YouTube?
I believe they have started to.
If they can make it to YouTube.
So, I will find them, and we'll do a run of ECW pay-per-views. Admittedly, all the best people have gone by that point, like Austin, all that lot. And we'll do, maybe we'll do the first round of ECW pay-per-views ever. And you'll see how brilliant, some of the stuff they do. Maybe we'll do Heatwave 98, because that's like best pay-per-view ever and stuff like that. Judgment Day, again, was over that they were able to have 2 world champions in their group. Damien Priest became world champion and became a really big star, and Rhea Ripley became the biggest star. She was nowhere.
Yeah.
Without Edge, which is hilarious when you think about it, started with Edge.
Yeah. And
creating this Edge and Damien Priest, and then Edge gets taken away from Finn Balor, which was really strange. I don't know what happened there. I'm really confused. They're like, we want to do Spooky, and we're like, no more Spooky, and in the week, it was really strange.
Yeah, it was.
And then adding Dominic Mysterio was such an amazing layer.
Oh, it was. That really helped. And that got them really organic here.
And then even Liv and Raquel was really good. Carlito was great. For me, Judgment Day did really great with something that shouldn't have worked.
Agreed.
I think it went too long.
It went too long. It became a bit of a vortex. They just feuded with the same. It was either Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn or Cody Rhodes for a bit. Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso.
Or themselves.
Literally themselves.
So I've got ECW Dudleys here, because I think it's one of...
They pitched it excellently, to be honest.
They main event tag teams. They were main eventing pay-per-views as the tag team champions. That's how good this was. So ECW Dudleys, back in TNA.
Oh, are we now?
It's the Aces and Eights storyline.
Who's facing?
The Bloodline.
I think Aces and Eights have had a lovely run.
Well done for coming.
Yeah, exactly.
So the 8 and 8s were a biker group. They were stealing off Sons of Anarchy. It's literally a complete rip. And it was really, really good.
I've heard so, yeah.
And then they NWO'd it and kept adding member after member after member. And then Buddy Ray went against him, and then he became the leader. Yeah. And he married Brooke Hogan. It was weird. It's actually really good, and then falls off a cliff dramatically. It's literally like this. It's like, this is really good. This is really good. Okay, bang. It's ridiculous. Again... I want to keep coming back to TNA. I want to do TNA, do something else.
What?
TNA, do something else. Because I love TNA. And we will 100% look at Aces and Eights.
Right.
Bloodline wins this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it does.
The $1 Million Corporation versus the Von Erichs. Old versus older.
That's not a very rich corporation. Like $1 million. Like I know it was a lot more back then,
Yeah,
but I think, you know.
Can I just let you know something about the $1 Million Corporation?
Please do.
Sucks.
Really?
They lost every match.
Oh no.
They are awful, Sam. Genuinely, it's IRS who you can't name in a bloody Sam versus Sam.
Alright.
Yeah.
Only for the stray.
Oh, they all mocked you. The world mocked you for not knowing
I'm
IRS.
just glad the world was watching.
He doesn't pay attention to the comments. And then you've got people like Tatanka was in there, Bam Bam Bigelow, all losing, all getting jobbed out. Terrible. They're awful. The Von Erichs are one of the most famous wrestling groups of all time. And it's one of the few times where we've got something that isn't actually in TNA, AEW, Japan, WWE,
but it's legendary, so legendary. They made a film about it.
Exactly.
Zac Efron?
Zac Efron was in it. The Von Erichs, absolutely. It's one of the saddest stories in wrestling history. It's Von Erichs. And thankfully, one of them did get to go to WWE, which was Texas Tornado, and no one realised he had one foot.
Really?
He had his foot amputated, and he just didn't tell anyone.
But he didn't have like a
he had a prosthetic on,
yeah.
but just no one knew, or they just pretended not to know,
right.
and he just carried on wrestling. But it's really, the Von Erichs are really sad. But in this case, they just smashed the $1 Million Corporation. They're rubbish. The 4 Horsemen, or the 40 Horsemen, versus Legacy.
Oh, it's got to be 4 Horsemen.
Now,
I like Legacy.
What's the problem with the 4 Horsemen?
They're not 4.
They just keep having new people. There are people in there. You're like, you were a 4 Horsemen, and you're like, really? Like you got Ric Flair and Arn Anderson. They kept looking around, going, why are we bringing on McMichael? What's this tool going on here for? Like I thought the best 4 that they probably had was when they brought in Benoit and Brian Pillman. And they did a really good story of Brian Pillman, who then got himself fired in Shoot, but it was meant to be a storyline, and he just went to WWE. Love you, Brian Pillman. I'll educate you on that one day because it's so funny. The 4 Horsemen are obviously legendary. Oh my god, have you ever heard their music?
No.
Oh, we need to play this music because Sam, this might go up into some of your top 10 music of all time.
Really?
It's incredible. It's so perfect for we are better than you, we are almost regal, and we are well dressed and moneyed. It's gorgeous. It's just 80s music, and it's so nice. Legacy is really good. Let's not talk about Manu or Manu.
Manu was
Man United.
I don't talk about them either. That was when Manu was kind of getting exiled from the group. That was when I just started watching. I just started watching, and like it's the 2009 Royal Rumble, and it was all like, who's going to get into Legacy? That was my first story that I picked up.
That's a good story.
So it will always have a place in my heart, Legacy. And you know what? They did for a while. They were really good because you had the Psycho Randy Orton. You needed his lackeys there, and DiBiase and Cody Rhodes were a really good choice.
But they failed on what they were trying to do because they thought Ted was the star. And you're like, what, the Plainison bloke? Yeah. And Cody Rhodes over there doing really great stuff. And then Randy became the face. And you're like, ooh, how have you done this in such a way that Randy, the psychotic person who's got lackeys, became the baby face? Yeah. So much so that when they got to WrestleMania, it was like, we kind of can't put one of these two over because we have to put Randy over now.
Yeah.
Didn't work.
And the problem was they weren't patient enough either.
No,
they just went, why aren't Cody and Ted DiBiase like main event level talent within a year? It's like, well, because they're
not.
Yeah, exactly.
And they weren't. And they never became main event talent for a long time with Cody. Well, think about it. This is 2009.
Yeah.
Right?
Cody for 6
and
Cody
years, doesn't 6. Yeah. Take 10. He's nowhere near the main event for 10.
He gets released in 2015.
Yeah, no, but
2016.
Yeah. And then he's not main event talent. He's in the Indies in like 2018 sort of thing, 17. So yeah. The 4 Horsemen.
Of course.
Absolutely. The Radicals versus the Hart Foundation. Sam, can I tell you about the Radicals?
Please do.
They're rubbish.
Well, I know that you don't like the Hart Foundation, though.
I like the Hart Foundation because you're forgetting not the Hart. You don't think about the Hart Foundation when it's the tag team. This is the group in '97.
Right.
So this is Owen, Brett, Neidhart, and Bulldog. And their only problem is they can't be heel in Canada. But this is really good. There's a reason Brett's champion. And they have some amazing matches. We ever watched Canadian Stampede, Sam? It's one of the best underrated pay-per-views of all time. Like, it's an incredible pay-per-view. And they have an incredible 8-man tag in there. And it's a really good group. The Radicals come over and their first night is amazing. They lose their first matches. So Eddie gets injured in his first match and just takes the fall.
Right.
And they job out the other one. I think Benoit's the only one who wins.
Right.
But Saturn and Dean Malenko might lose a tag team. They just lose. And then immediately, because they lose, they just end up joining, I think it's DX. Yeah, if you watch back, you go, after about 3 weeks, they were already with other people.
Right.
They failed across the board, and it's just because you've got unbelievable in-ring talent that they were able to come through. Radicals was rubbish.
Okay, so
famous for that moment, but how many other clips do you see? You just see them sat in the crowd. Yeah. You never see anything else, bar maybe Eddie breaking his arm or whatever it was when he frog splashed Billy and missed. Heart Foundation way big. This is a really old section. Dungeon of Doom versus Evolution. Sam, if I can ever find all the Dungeon of Doom pay-per-views, we're going to do those.
Okay.
Because they're hilarious.
Yeah.
Because they're all movie monsters.
Right.
Just so Hogan can vanquish them in 1995.
On a quad bike. Oh no, it's quad bike. It's that massive monster truck.
Yeah, that is part of it.
On a helipad.
And do you know what, Sam? That's the least insane of it.
That's pretty interesting.
He takes normal people
in the cave,
and they get changed into new characters.
It's like the Lake of Reincarnation.
It is. It was the Lake of Reincarnation before there was Lake. And it's my famous one is Hogan puts his hand in the water and goes, "Ah! It's not hot!" What? Why were you surprised?
Why would it be hot?
He saw steam. I think he just assumed... It was the weirdest bit of, I'm going to act, but I've not been given a script. Yeah. Evolution is who they're taking on. And
you are not an Evolution fan.
I am not a fan of Evolution. Yeah. I think that people have put the rose and tinting of the glasses on for Evolution because I think they've had some great spells, but also it's Triple H Reign of Terror. People turned off in droves. We hated it. It was constant. Batista and Randy Orton might have been pretty decent. Half of the other group, everyone hated. Can you really say something that's brilliant and hated? It got Batista and Randy Orton over. Batista more than Randy Orton, but Jesus Christ.
Gave Flair something to do.
It was actually really helpful for Flair because he was doing nothing. No. But it's not as good as people think. It's really not. Trust me, it's really not. They beat Dungeon of Doom.
Yeah.
It's the Shield versus Damage Control in the first of the last 16. Sorry, Damage Control.
Yeah.
Nice. ECW Dudleys versus the Bloodline. So Bloodline are taking out a TNA group. Yeah. They're now going to take out
another Bloodline.
Quite
frankly, it's Bloodline versus Bloodline. Ultimately, we must acknowledge Bubba Ray. It's the part of the content. Oh, thank you. I deserve that. Yeah, that was incredible.
I don't think we need to do anything further. No, Bloodline's going to win, obviously.
One of them.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's the best thing you've ever said.
Oh, thank you. I'll say that.
The Von Erichs versus the Four Horsemen. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Imagine this.
What a match that would be.
Yeah. Now, I don't know enough about the Von Erichs.
Do you know?
I don't know much about the Four Horsemen.
I think the fact that the Von Erichs were within their own territory in Texas, and they didn't really branch out because either they kept dying, or they just stayed where they were. I think is what is going to sway me to go with the world champion on national TV, WCW Four Horsemen. That's what I'm going with.
And they are incredibly famous and synonymous with factions, so I'll give it to them. But it's like me judging like which kind of bouquet of flowers is pretty. It's not my kind of, you can
do it by sight, but you're no.
No, but like, you know what I mean?
As metaphors go, that was awful, because the idea is you haven't seen them.
Okay.
This is like you deciding on a bouquet of flowers that are being described to you.
Yeah, exactly.
I helped you out with your metaphor.
Yeah, thanks, Sam.
You said something amazing in the last one about Bloodline, and then you come and go.
I had to even it out. My brilliance is fleeting.
Heart Foundation versus Evolution. It's Evolution. Let's move on. The Heart Foundation lasted about 6 months and ended at the Montreal Screwjob.
No.
Evolution had 3 years, and as much as they were down, there were some very big highs. We will talk about Evolution against the Four Horsemen. The quarter final. It's the Shield versus the Bloodline. Roman Reigns versus Roman Reigns.
This is Vince's dream.
Sammy, darling.
Oh, God.
Talk.
Oh, God. Why are you throwing me to the lions? Oh, wow. Okay. I have an opinion. People won't like it. Because people like the past and people like rose-tinted glasses, as you say. The Shield were incredible. Right?
I don't think the Shield have a fault in the way they were booked pretty much throughout.
Yes.
I think losing that random match on SmackDown
that is
the first time is one.
I mean, that is quite trivial.
And me and you have agreed that they ended at the right time. Yes. Because even though they had way more legs, by ending it at the height, it caused such a dramatic effect that it even led to this group still being associated with it.
However, does the reunions kind of tarnish it a little bit? Because they weren't great.
Absolutely, because they are still included because all three are there.
Yeah. So that does tarnish it a little bit.
Agreed.
Now, what I'll say with the Shield is, the Shield are incredible in their time capsule, and Their character, they're very solid characters of group. Very simple, but very great. And what they did was pretty much everything that they could do with that group. So they ended at the right
created
time.
3 main event, WrestleMania main eventers potentially.
Yeah, no two ways about it. The Bloodline, for me, is much more complex. And
so it's something that Vince couldn't do.
No.
Because he started it, and I started it really well. He nailed it, Vince. Here.
But it was how much of it was Heyman?
I think it's because that's what Vince did, but like Heyman wrote it.
Yeah.
Let's be honest here.
I've
seen this a lot of people going, Vince was the one who started the Bloodline. I'm like, yeah, he said yes to it, but Paul Heyman's the one who writes it, and they carried on letting Paul Heyman write it with input from other people, but he's the one who's the main driving force. So technically, it's had the one main force narrative throughout it. And then when Triple H took over, I thought that went to another level because they added Sami Zayn in pretty much
the honorary use
when Triple H took over. Now, I thought Bloodline was just starting to peter.
It was. And
then Sami came in, and it not only gave it another life, it gave it layers that I don't think WWE have ever done with a group before.
No.
And it couldn't do it.
No.
So much so that they're going, Sami should have won the title, but it was like, it's come at the wrong time.
Yeah,
if it literally happened 6 months later or 6 months earlier, we could have done the Sami Zayn thing, but it kept the same for Drew, same principle.
Yeah.
Bloodline, to me, is a main event faction. It made tag teams be in the main event of WrestleMania.
Based on a story of infighting in that faction.
And then you've got one person who came out who was accepted in as a comedy person, as a goof, and they infought within it, so much so that it split up twins. And then he stayed with the twin. And it's so complex and interesting and different. Yes, it became watered down.
Yes, and fleshed out a bit too much.
Yeah, so then you have to ask the question, does Bloodline end when Roman Reigns is no longer Bloodline, or does the Bloodline with Solar Score and all that count, the 2.0? I am saying it's a different Bloodline.
I think it is.
But do we say that about
It's like the NWO's Wolfpac.
Yes, that's kind of what it is, because like Bullet Club is still called Bullet Club, this was still called Bloodline. It's tough, but they've lost the lead. I don't know. For me, that's the only counter argument is some would say it doesn't end with Roman, some say it does. It's up to you to determine that. For me, the winner of this, because it became WrestleMania main event worthy with multiple characters, there are 4 people. No, but the story of Bloodline.
Agreed.
4 people became WrestleMania main eventers in 1 year because of it. Roman main events against Cody. And Solo's involved in that.
In the finish.
Yeah. And that's my point. So here's your 5. And then you've got Jimmy and Jay and Sami Zayn are in the other main event. And then the year after, Endgame happens.
Sam, the Rock joins.
That wins.
That wins it. Like the Rock literally, and I know that was a lot to do with Cody. Let's not trivialize that.
Yeah.
But the Rock comes back and turns heel, becomes a part of it. The Rock in 2024 and acknowledges Roman Reigns.
I think we've decided.
Difficult.
In my eyes, this was probably close to the final.
I think you could definitely.
And I'm going to acknowledge the Bloodline.
Acknowledge the Tribal Chief.
Have won. Roman Reigns has defeated the Big Dog. It's Ric Flair versus Ric Flair. It's the 4 Horsemen versus Evolution. Now, Sam, Evolution started with Triple H and Ric Flair. Does not count. Okay, so we can't talk about any of that until Randy Orton and Batista join. And what everyone forgets is Randy gets injured almost immediately, and then Batista gets injured almost immediately. Batista doesn't officially join properly until Survivor Series of 2003.
Yeah.
And they're like, Triple H got with Ric Flair in Unforgiven 2002. That's it. That's 14 months.
Long time.
And Randy was there, and then they only just really kick off from that point on. And it's a really great start. But thankfully, Triple H's Reign of Terror is in that reign.
Oh, yeah.
Is in that kind of spell when they're not there. They really get going, I'm saying from the Royal Rumble 2004 onwards. But then they ruin it by having Randy Orton turn face really quickly.
Yeah.
And it's not ready. No. But if you're going to do the Batista spot, aren't you building towards WrestleMania? So why are you doing the babyface turn now? You think you're going to get there within 7 months?
It's a Vinceism.
I knew they're going, could you imagine if it was done now? The layers that Randy Orton wouldn't have turned then. They would have had him infighting until probably the Rumble or something like that. And that's what would have happened. It would have been so much better. Yeah. The 4 Horsemen, there's so many different members, and I know it's all about Ric Flair, and eventually Ric Flair stops being in it. It becomes just Arn Anderson. And can we just point out, I think we need to say this on channel, because I don't think it's been said enough. Arn Anderson is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. The problem he has is he doesn't look it. No. He's just this kind of normal-looking bulk, kind of balding, slight beard, looks like he could be a father who's doing a barbecue. He looks like that. Yes. But in ring, immaculate promo. Wow.
Yeah.
One of the best promos. One of the best promos. And he's having to do that alongside Ric Flair, who was at the time doing the best promo work. Incredible. The problem is then all your other people keep getting changed.
Yeah.
And they're not good enough. So I'm picking Evolution. As much as I want to cry, because they stayed as a 4 and it made 4 main eventers.
I tell you what, Triple H would bloody love this match, wouldn't he?
Yes,
he basically wanted the Evolution to be the 4 Horsemen.
He would.
He did. But I would go with you again. It's hard for me without knowing too much about the 4 Horsemen. Evolution. There's something about them. Also, the look and the presentation is.
That's what I'm going to say. They actually have the same presentation.
Yeah,
effectively.
Well,
also the same sort of good music. I mean, Evolution's music is fantastic.
Yeah,
let's be honest. Evolution is
a mystery.
Great song. I'm picking Evolution.
I can't believe you're going against yourself so much.
Well, they've took on the Dungeon of Doom, the Heart Foundation. And, I'm not a massive fan of the 4 Horsemen outside of Ric Flair, and you can't just go, these 2 people are great, but the other 2 people they keep changing over and over again. The semi-final is the Bloodline versus Evolution. Bloodline.
Yeah.
The final. It is the Bloodline versus the New Day.
Oh, it's one-sided for me.
I cannot believe this modern day thing. And usually, me and you actually are very good at not doing recency bias.
Yes.
We're actually very excellent. For example, we've got the best spear was won by a rhino, for example. And I don't think we're all about the obsession about, like...
Star power.
Or I don't think we're obsessed with also, like, vintage stuff or, nostalgia.
We try and be as objective. Obviously, we can't be fully objective, and there's no such thing in wrestling, really. But we try and be fair and balanced, I think is the word.
But I think how legendary this will go down, and they will delete everything that happened the minute WrestleMania 40 ends. They won't talk about it from WrestleMania 40 on. It'll never exist anymore. Yeah. It'll never be a thing.
Apart from a bit of the Solo Heyman stuff was really good.
Even that, I don't think they'll talk about it outside of one of my tribal chief. I don't think they'll talk about it. When they do the documentaries and the series about the Bloodline, I reckon they'll end the doc at 40.
Yeah, but maybe get a bit of the reunion in there.
Maybe,
but quick.
The Bloodline genuinely is one of the... And we literally did an entire episode, and you can see it. It's like, what revitalized WWE? Who gets the biggest praise? And we said Triple H versus Roman Reigns. Okay? And we had a little picture of Sami Zayn. And we were like, who actually was the cause? Who was the catalyst? What is the reason? Was it the person who's doing the booking and the storyline, or the star within the incredible story? And that shows you how big we thought Triple H and Roman Reigns were.
Yes, and that faction did literally pull the company up and
it really did
way into the mainstream. Put it this way, Sam. My friends at home, one of them's a wrestling fan, like me, and then one of them's not. Two of my best mates at home, right? And we've got our other friend into wrestling because we've shown him clips of the Bloodline, like the Trial of the Honorary Use and stuff. Because it basically there's kind of 6 of us that are kind of a bit of a group. And the dynamic of the Bloodline really mirrors like ours. Like me and my other friend are always like, I'm the honorary use, hence that I've got the t-shirt you might see me wearing on the channel. And he's like Paul Heyman, we're always trying to get each other into trouble, basically. And he always just annoyed at us because we're doing ridiculous things and being stupid. And because of that, and because you can show someone, look at the stories, look at the really clearly defined characters here, you can make it a meme. Isn't this funny? It drags people in and it gets them invested into it. And it's got the longevity. It's got the differentiation of the characters, because every character in the Bloodline is different. And everyone is.
Yeah.
Even
twins.
Yeah. Because it started in lockdown, you've got really nuanced and well-paced beginning of it.
So you'll never be able to recreate.
You can't recreate that. And it's genuine because most of them, apart from Heyman and Sami Zayn, are actually family. And it also resulted in an absolutely historic title reign. The greatest in the one
and arguably the greatest WrestleMania main event of all time.
Yeah, and Cody became a star. I know Cody was on.
Created a brand new. Cody was created a brand new main eventer.
Cody, you often
number one star.
You have to say Austin and The Rock need each other, right? Yeah. And Triple H as well.
Yeah.
Cody probably wouldn't have become the star that he's become without having to face the Bloodline.
No, if Cody had just beaten Seth was your champion,
yeah,
it would have been, Cody's your number one, but it's not the same. Like when Austin beat Shawn Michaels, it was a passing of the guard moment. So that's different because you've got the 3. You've got beating a meh, passing of the guard. Think about like Cena beats The Rock and that type of thing, the passing of the guard. And then you've got 2 people so synonymous that they built up to each other so much that when you defeat this one, it means so much.
Yeah,
and Rock and Austin became that. And this is the exact same for me. I think we're in agreement.
Yeah.
And we haven't spoken about the New Day. New Day, arguably, I think, are the greatest trio tag team of all time. To be able to do tag team matches, to be able to get people in and invested all the time, to make people laugh, to make people entertained.
Put them anywhere.
And they became WWE champions within it.
Yeah.
That's how good they were.
Incredible.
And that's
legendary.
I don't think people give them enough credit. I think they say how great they are, but then when they go, name your greatest factions of all time,
New Day
they never mention them. And I think me and you have just proven that they don't actually have many that you would drag them down any floorboards.
No. I think because we're watching it live at, like, in modern times, when you're watching it at the time, sometimes you don't realise how legendary something is.
And they are legendary.
And in 10 years, we're going to look back on things like Kofi Mania and, you know, Big E winning the title and just New Day in general.
Well,
like, with the Usos.
Kofi Mania was in our top 10 happiest moments in wrestling.
Exactly.
Both of ours.
And then we will look back on the Bloodline and the plethora of stuff. Sami Zayn making Jey Uso corpse, but it being really funny and it getting you, it making you just struggle. Like, you know, it endears you towards the characters that. I love these two factions. I wish kind of weirdly they had a proper feud.
Yeah, they could. Well, they kind of did
a little bit
because Roman took the King of the Ring from Xavier.
So they did a little bit.
So they did time it. Yeah. But we are in agreement. That is it. Our winner of the greatest faction stable of all time is the Bloodline.
Acknowledge
it.
Tribal chief.
Thank you very much for joining us. What did you think of our ones? Do you think they're controversial? If you're a little bit older than us, actually, this is very interesting, very rare. If you're a bit older than us...
Not many of you older than
No, well, I'm in my 30s. Only people in their 40s who really experienced WCW and stuff like that know more, and you think there's something we missed with things like the Four Horsemen or maybe the Von Erichs and stuff like that. Please let us know. The Heenan family and the Dangerous Alliance and all that stuff. Please let us know. But I still think Bloodline would have won. Yeah. Thank you very much for joining us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Comment what you think. Comment your winner, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.